Hey guys, Scott here, and today we're going to talk about, at least briefly, the age-old debate, which is the skill difference in regions dependent on, the game that you're playing. This has been a thing basically since online games have been a thing. For some reason, whether it's ego or national pride or whatever, people always say that their region is just better than every other region, and this has just plagued every game ever. And I want to go into a little bit of the history of it and how it applies to Dead by Daylight and how I think it's kind of a shitty attitude to have, at least, for this game because there's really not much comparison. So as far as the history goes, I tried finding a constant, like why certain regions would be better at certain games. And while researching this, I found that it's always NA versus EU. That's the main argument every time. Like, yeah, if you're talking about StarCraft 1, there's Korea that shows up. Like there are other regions that definitely are in the conversation as well. But the main consistent one that's been happening for 20 years is NA versus EU. That's just always those two for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they're just simply big regions with a lot of people playing games. Could just be a numbers thing, but I don't know. But I tried looking for a constant, and I kind of found one. It seemed to be that simply the players, or the region with the most players for that game, tended to have more better players. And that just makes sense because, more players, that means you're probably going to have statistically more, good players. For example, League of Legends, there are more players in Europe, and thus Europeans tend to do, on average, better in tournaments than in America, where in 2017 we started dropping off because there are just less players in America. So it makes sense that if there's more players, you can be even more critical of the top talent. You can, cut them down even more to really get the absolute best of the best. And, if you have a smaller player base, you kind of have to take what you can get sometimes. I'm obviously exaggerating. I'm just trying to illustrate that point. So the amount of players kind of makes sense. But what drives the amount of players? Well, it's kind of the culture of the area. Call of Duty is more popular in America, and I want to make a gun joke there, but it is kind of dependent on the culture. But now we look at a game like Dead by Daylight, and the regions seem kind of balanced, at least, from what streams I watch, and I don't have, dev regional data. I would love to see that. That'd be neat, but it seems for the most part that there are a lot of players in sort of every area. You can go to any Asian stream, you can go to European stream, they all have kind of similar queue times. It seems like there are people playing this game in kind of every region. And there doesn't really appear to be that much of a one-sided thing there. So I don't think the numbers game really works for Dead by Daylight. So, well, then what do we really have? Well, we have comparisons to other games, right? But that doesn't really make sense either because Dead by Daylight is not like any other game. For example, if a new MOBA comes out, you might say, oh, well, EU is probably going to do really good here because typically, in Dota and Smite, I don't know about Smite, I didn't research that, but Dota, League of Legends, they tend to do better. So this new MOBA, they'll probably do good too. Which is fair logic. I'll accept that. But for Dead by Daylight, there's no comparisons to be made. There's nothing like this game. I've said that in every video. This game is way too unique to draw comparisons with any other system. That's why I think when people talking about MMR systems in other games, I say it works in that game, but Dead by Daylight is not like any other game. So I think those comparisons really don't make any sense. And even if you do make those comparisons, you're just sort of picking and choosing which comparisons you're trying to make at that point. If you're saying, well, oh yeah, EU players are better at Dead by Daylight. We win every League of Legends tournament. So, I mean, that's I can just do the same stupid shit. NA players are better at Dead by Daylight. We win every Rocket League tournament with Team NRG. It's the same stupid argument that just goes in whatever direction you want it to. You just pick a game. But at the end of the day, there's no game like Dead by Daylight, so you can't really compare other games and professional history and things like that because it doesn't exist. There is none. So that doesn't really work. So what are we left with? Well, we pretty much just have anecdotal evidence, right? What you go against. But the thing is, even the anecdotal evidence is weak as hell because you can't play in multiple regions unless you're flying across the country and playing in, LAN tournaments where you can compare players, which no one's doing. You can't really do that because you're not playing in multiple regions unless you use a VPN, which if you are, please stop. It's very annoying to go against you with 500 ping. So even that doesn't work. So the only way that people can actually compare is by playing in their region and then watching people that play in other regions. And this is where it begins to relate to Dead by Daylight because whatever region you play from, if someone's watching you, they're going to make fun of the people that you're going against, and everyone they go against is better. Doesn't matter what region you're in. That's just the case everywhere. This is not a dig at NA or Europe or Russia or Asia. That's just everyone does this shit. It doesn't make any sense to make a claim like that because it's not founded in any fact or anything. One of my favorite comments of all time was on one of my videos where I beat all the survivors really fast, so obviously they were not very good. And then the guy responded like, "Where do you get these teams? I play in East Coast NA and I get only sweat squads." I'm like, "Bitch, I'm in East Coast NA. No, you fucking don't. You just only remember the times you go against them, and when you're watching other streams, you try to make yourself feel better about yourself by comparison." And I think that is kind of the main crux of it here. It's really just it's an ego preservation thing. It's just you trying to, say, well, the reason I'm losing is because everyone is just amazing that I'm going against. It couldn't just be that I could have played better. It's just always that, everyone else is better. And so when I watch streamers from whatever region I'm not in, I'm just going to say that everyone they go against sucks. The big secret of all this is that almost everyone sucks. People are mostly just not good at the game. There are very few very good players in the game. When you go against them, you remember it for sure. For example, 2 days ago, I went against a really good team. I got wrecked. I got 1 kill. And no one said anything. No one said, "Wow, look at these NA survivors are so good." Because you never say it when it's that side. It's only when they're bad so you can justify your own losses. That tends to be the case. And I was really going to go hard on this. I was going to download a VPN myself, play in different regions, test the overall games, and compare my experiences, because really anecdotal evidence is all we got, right? So I wanted to do that. But then I don't want to play with a VPN. I don't even know if you're allowed to. And also, it's just miserable going against a 300 ping killer, so I didn't want to do that to people. Then I realized I don't even have to do that because people have done that for me. And what I'm talking about is just go to any streamer from a particular region. Go to any NA streamer, any Russian streamer, any Asian streamer, any EU streamer. And if they're, a notable killer, I'm willing to bet they're winning almost every single one of their games. Even if they're not using a meta killer, they're using fucking Clown. For example, Otz going on a 50 Clown win streak. Now, obviously, Otz is extremely good, and that is a large portion of why he's able to do it, and a lot of people are not able to do that. But at the end of the day, if he was going against 50, top-tier, incredible teams in a row with Clown, he was not going to be able to do that. So just an example like that means it's impossible just to claim that, one region is better than the other when I can go on, a giant speed limiter streak and Otz can go on a giant Clown streak, because if you're going against only the best survivors, you're not going to win those games in a row. It's just simply not going to happen. And that's sort of just proof right there. You can't have it both ways. You can't say your region has such amazing players and then win all of your games with Clown while also having the opinion that survivors are stronger than killer at the highest level. Your logic, you're counteracting your own logic. It doesn't make any sense. You can't have that both ways. The more likely explanation is, the games that you are losing, you're probably just, making a couple of mistakes here and there. And really, most people in your region just are not that great. And that's just true. That's just how the game is. I can go in any VOD of any streamer and point out 50,000 mistakes that everybody makes, the killer and the survivor. Everyone fucks up a lot. And basically, how good you are is determined by how little you fuck up. But you can find embarrassing plays on every single streamer that plays this game from the other side. So I think the whole argument that whatever region is better, it's really just an ego protecting thing that people say, at least in this game, to try to defend them when they lose. And I get it. I understand that is very human nature to just try to just come up with something as soon as you lose a game. And sometimes it really is that, the game just fucks you. It really is that. I'm not pretending that, it's always just only your fault. But a lot of the times it kind of probably is your fault. It's kind of hard to notice mistakes a lot of the time, and you really tend to only focus on the negatives when they happen. And this is exemplified when you're watching other people play the game, because it's just an easy thing to do. But really, there's no basis in history, comparisons, fact, or even logic when you're talking about things like this, because you can just go to anyone's VOD and see that despite, saying that they're only going against the best, they're still winning almost every single game, which either means they are the greatest thing to ever happen to this game, which they're not, or they're really just not going against as amazing people as, they're claiming. And I think that's just kind of a shitty attitude to have, because it demeans everybody else, and there's just no reason to do it, because there's just no basic in fact or logic there. So I would say just stop doing that. It's just all it does is piss people off. There's no reason for it. But I guess that's it, guys. That is it. Take it easy. Have a good one.